Most people think you have to confront fake friends directly, call them out, argue with them, or break off the relationship in a dramatic fashion. But the truth is, you don't have to lift a finger. Growth itself is the silent test. When you start evolving, improving yourself, and breaking cycles that others are stuck in, you automatically shine a light on the hidden envy in the room. Suddenly, people who once smiled with you may stop laughing. People who once cheered may grow quiet. And it's not because you did anything wrong. It's because your light reminds them of the darkness they refuse to face in themselves. Imagine this. You've been struggling in life for years and your friends are used to seeing you in survival mode. You finally land a new job, start a business, or improve your health. Instead of congratulating you wholeheartedly, one of your friends says, "Oh, must be nice," with a smirk. Another one changes the subject quickly. Another doesn't say anything at all. That's the silent test in action. Growth exposes what words cannot. Psychologists call this social comparison theory. It's the idea that people evaluate themselves by comparing their progress to others. Real friends use comparison as inspiration. They see you rise and think, if they can do it, I can too. Fake friends, however, see your growth as a personal attack. It's as if your success confirms their failures. This is why the silent test is so powerful. It requires no confrontation. You simply live, grow, and watch who claps when you win. This is where the emotional challenge lies. Many people ignore the signs because they don't want to believe their so-called friends are secretly competing. But denial doesn't protect you. It only prolongs your exposure to hidden toxicity. Ask yourself, when you share good news, who listens with genuine warmth and who pulls away? When you start achieving more, who leans in to support you and who tries to make you feel guilty for shining? These are not small clues, they are the truth. At Mirror of the Soul, I want you to think deeply. Who in your life has passed the silent test and who has failed? Drop your answer in the comments. Have you ever felt the sting of a fake friend going quiet when you finally achieved something you worked so hard for? Share your story, because someone else watching this might be living through the same betrayal right now, and your words could be the confirmation they need. And if this resonates, don't forget to like and subscribe, because we're building a community where truth isn't ignored, it's embraced. On the surface, fake friends are masters of disguise. They'll smile at you, laugh at your jokes, and even clap when you achieve something. But underneath, there's a hidden competition brewing. It's not always loud, it's not always obvious, but it's there. Their smile is not celebration, it's camouflage. And if you look closely, you'll see the cracks in the mask. Picture this. You announce that you've started hitting the gym and finally feel proud of your progress. A friend smiles and says, "Wow, that's great." But the next day they show up talking about how they've been working out twice as hard, eating cleaner, or lifting more weight than you. That's not support, that's competition in disguise. It's their way of saying, "You're not allowed to outshine me." This is why fake friends will often mirror your achievements, not to grow with you, but to keep up the illusion that they're still ahead. Envy is one of the most dangerous emotions because it thrives in silence. Unlike anger, which often explodes outward, envy lurks beneath forced smiles and polite words. Fake friends rarely admit their jealousy because doing so would expose their insecurity. Instead, they bury it deep, hoping you won't notice. But psychology shows us that suppressed envy always leaks out in body language, tone of voice, and subtle behaviors. For example, you might tell a friend about a new promotion and they reply, "Wow, that's amazing." But their smile doesn't reach their eyes. They hug you, but the embrace feels stiff. They may even throw in a backhanded compliment like, "Don't get too stressed with all that extra responsibility." Out loud, they sound supportive. Inside, they're wrestling with resentment. Their envy won't allow them to be genuinely happy for you. The beauty of psychology is that you don't need confrontation to expose someone's true intentions. Fake friends can be revealed with subtle experiments, simple, quiet actions that make them show their real colors without you saying a word. These techniques aren't about manipulation, they're about clarity. They allow you to see who's truly for you and who's against you without messy arguments or emotional drain. Here's one experiment. Share a small success with your friends, something that's important to you but not overwhelming. Watch their reactions closely. Do they lean in with excitement or do their eyes glaze over? Do they encourage you or do they try to change the subject? Real friends amplify your joy. Fake friends deflate it. The contrast becomes obvious the moment you start celebrating yourself. Another experiment: withdraw slightly. Stop overgiving, stop chasing, stop always being the one to call or check in. See who notices your absence. Fake friends thrive on convenience. They're present as long as you're pouring energy into them. But the moment you stop, they disappear. Real friends, on the other hand, will reach out, check in, and make an effort to keep the connection alive. This test is simple but revealing. Who values you when you're not constantly available? Success should be something we all celebrate together. In an ideal world, when one person in a group rises, everyone rises with them. But when fake friends are involved, your success doesn't bring unity, it brings tension. Suddenly, what should be a moment of joy feels heavy with silence, awkward laughter, or forced smiles. This discomfort isn't random. It's rooted in the way your growth triggers something deep inside them. Think about it. Success shines a mirror on those around you. When you achieve something, it forces others to confront the question, why not me? For people who are secure in themselves, this question inspires action. They may say, if you can do it, that means I can too. But for fake friends, the same question breeds insecurity. Instead of seeing your success as motivation, they view it as a reminder of their own inaction. Your growth highlights their stagnation, and that discomfort leaks out in the way they treat you. One of the most powerful tools you can use to detect fake friends is not what they say, but what you feel. Words can be manipulated, but energy never lies. Have you ever walked into a room, shared something exciting, and instantly felt the atmosphere shift? Maybe the laughter stopped. Maybe the smiles felt colder. Maybe your body even felt heavier, like the joy you carried in was suddenly drained away. That shift is the silent language of energy, and it speaks louder than words ever could. Energy doesn't require explanation, it's instinctual. Our bodies are wired to pick up on subtle cues, from tone shifts to micro-expressions, even when we can't consciously explain them. This is why you can feel tension without anyone saying a word. It's also why people often say things like, I don't know why, but I just felt off around them. That's your subconscious picking up on energy misalignment. And when it comes to fake friends, their envy leaks through in ways their mouths can't control. There's a golden rule in relationships. Real love is loud in your victories, while fake love goes silent. Think about the times you've achieved something important. Maybe you graduated, maybe you launched a project, maybe you even healed from a season of pain. Real friends erupt with joy as if your win is their win. They share your posts, they clap for you, they even get teary-eyed because they know how much you fought to reach that moment. Fake friends, they shrink. Their silence becomes the loudest sound in the room. This silence is not accidental. Psychologists describe it as incongruence, a mismatch between what someone feels and what they're willing to show. Fake friends don't want to openly reveal their jealousy, so instead of saying something negative, they say nothing at all. But make no mistake, silence is communication. It tells you, I don't know how to celebrate you without confronting my own insecurities. And that's not friendship, it's rivalry disguised as loyalty. Words can lie, smiles can lie, but the body rarely lies. One of the most fascinating aspects of human psychology is that our subconscious leaks through in microexpressions, tiny flashes of real emotion that last less than a second. Fake friends might master the art of pretending with their words, but their faces, their posture, and their gestures almost always give them away. Learning to read these signs is like having a secret code that reveals the truth beneath the mask. Let's say you share exciting news. Watch closely. Do their eyes widen with genuine joy, or do they narrow for a split second before the fake smile sets in? Do their shoulders lean toward you in openness, or do they slightly pull back as if distancing themselves from your energy? These micro movements happen in an instant, but if you're present, you'll notice them. Science tells us that micro-expressions often reveal emotions like envy, disgust, or anger before the brain has time to cover them up with a smile. Failure never scares fake friends. In fact, they're most comfortable when you're down. When you're struggling, they can offer shallow sympathy, give half-hearted advice, and feel secure knowing you're not surpassing them. Failure keeps you safe in their world because it reassures them they're still on level ground with you. But growth terrifies them. Your rise is their nightmare because it breaks the unspoken agreement that you'll never outgrow them. Here's the paradox. When you're at rock bottom, fake friends may appear supportive. They'll say things like, "Don't worry, I'm here for you." But notice how quickly that support dries up the moment you start winning. Psychologists call this downward social comparison. They feel better about themselves when they compare their lives to your struggles. Your failure props up their fragile ego, but when you succeed, that comfort disappears. Suddenly, they're forced to face the uncomfortable truth. They've been stagnant while you've been moving forward. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to reveal a fake friend's jealousy is through the jealousy test. It's subtle, quiet, and requires no confrontation. All you have to do is drop good news casually, without making a big deal out of it, and watch how they react. The beauty of this test is that genuine friends will celebrate instantly, while fake friends will struggle to mask their discomfort. Imagine you're out with friends and in the middle of casual conversation you say, "Oh, by the way, I finally got that promotion." Pay attention to the immediate response. A real friend's face lights up. They ask questions, they want details, they may even toast to your success on the spot. A fake friend, however, may force a smile, glance away, or respond with something dismissive like, "Oh, cool." That single reaction tells you everything. Passive aggressiveness is the fake friend's favorite weapon. It allows them to express envy, irritation, or resentment without openly admitting it. Instead of saying, "I feel threatened by your success," they'll disguise it in jokes, sarcasm, or subtle digs. At first glance, these comments may seem harmless, but over time they erode your confidence and plant seeds of self-doubt. Learning how to handle these passive-aggressive responses is essential if you want to protect your peace. Here's an example. You tell a friend you've started a new business and they laugh and say, "Wow, don't forget us little people when you're rich." On the surface, it sounds like a joke, but underneath, it's resentment. Another example, maybe you've been focusing on your health and a friend remarks, "Oh, so now you're too good to eat with us." Again, framed as humor but dripping with insecurity. These comments aren't random. They're designed to bring you down a notch without sounding openly cruel. If there's one game fake friends never stop playing, it's the one-up game. No matter what you share, they always have something bigger, better, or louder to put on the table. You got a new job, they just got a better one. You started working out, they've been training harder for months. You share a personal breakthrough, they quickly switch the conversation to themselves. It's exhausting, and over time it reveals the truth. They're not here to celebrate you, they're here to compete with you. Here, what makes this game so toxic? It tricks you into believing that nothing you do is enough. Instead of celebrating your progress, you find yourself defending it, explaining it, or minimizing it just to avoid another comparison. The one-up friend doesn't know how to sit with your success. They only know how to use it as a stepping stone to highlight themselves. And while competition can be healthy in sports or business, it has no place in friendship. When you achieve something meaningful, you expect to hear applause. You imagine your friends cheering you on, lifting you higher, and celebrating with the same joy you feel. But sometimes, what you get instead is silence. And that silence can cut deeper than any insult. Why? Because it reveals a truth people don't want to admit. Not everyone clapping for you in public is rooting for you in private. Silence is not neutral, it's communication. It says, "I saw your success, but I couldn't bring myself to acknowledge it." For fake friends, silence is a form of resistance. By not celebrating you, they hope to make your victory feel smaller, less important, less valid. It's their quiet protest against your growth. And while they may think their silence goes unnoticed, your heart always feels the void. Most people underestimate the price of keeping fake friends in their lives. They think, "It's not that serious, I'll just keep them around for now." But every relationship costs energy, and fake friends are the most expensive of all. They drain you not with obvious attacks but with subtle erosion, doubt, sarcasm, silence, envy. Over time, this invisible cost adds up, leaving you tired, insecure, and emotionally bankrupt. The cost begins with self-doubt. When your wins are ignored or minimized, you start questioning if they matter. You ask yourself, am I being arrogant for sharing this? Should I have stayed quiet? Fake friends condition you to dim your own light, making you feel guilty for shining. And guilt is heavy. It steals the joy right out of your victories. Failure is one of life's hardest teachers, but it becomes even more painful when you realize some people in your circle are quietly rooting for it. Fake friends rarely show their envy directly. Instead, they disguise it behind politeness, sarcasm, or silence. But underneath, they secretly hope you stumble, because your failure makes them feel safer. Here's the psychology behind it. Success forces people to confront their own lack of progress. When you rise, it shines a light on where they've stayed the same. Instead of using that discomfort as motivation, fake friends resent you for reminding them of what they haven't done. Your failure, on the other hand, relieves that pressure. It reassures them that maybe they don't need to change after all. In their mind, your downfall becomes their comfort. One of the hardest questions in life is this: who is truly loyal to me? The problem is, if you ask people directly, you'll almost always get the same answer. Of course I'm loyal. Words are cheap. Loyalty isn't proven in conversation, it's proven in behavior. So how can you test loyalty without confrontation? The key is creating subtle moments that reveal their true intentions. Here's one technique. Share something good that happened to you and watch their reaction. Do they celebrate with genuine joy, or do they stay quiet, change the subject, or dismiss it? Their immediate response will tell you more than their words ever could. A loyal friend beams when you win. A fake one goes blank. The most powerful way to deal with fake friends isn't confrontation, it's revelation. Instead of accusing them, you create environments where their true nature naturally slips out. It's like holding up a mirror. Sooner or later, they show you exactly who they are. The subtle art of making fake friends reveal themselves lies in your ability to stay calm while observing their behavior. Here's one strategy. Share small successes, then pause. Don't fill the silence, don't downplay your win, just watch. Real friends will light up, their excitement unmistakable. Fake friends, however, will hesitate. You'll notice a flicker of discomfort in their eyes, a forced smile, or a quick subject change. That moment of hesitation is more honest than any words they could say. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop bleeding for people who wouldn't do the same for you. When it comes to fake friends, detachment is the shield that protects your soul. Instead of constantly trying to please, prove, or persuade them, you step back and reclaim your power. You realize their inability to celebrate you is not your burden, it's their limitation. Here's the truth: you can't fix envy. You can't make someone clap for you if their heart doesn't want to. The more you try to win their approval, the more you'll shrink. Detachment frees you from that trap. You no longer measure your worth by their reactions. Whether they clap or stay silent, you keep moving forward. Your growth is no longer negotiable. Letting go of fake friends is never easy. Even when you know they're draining you, hurting you, or secretly competing with you, cutting ties can feel like ripping out a piece of yourself. Why? Because friendships, even toxic ones, often hold history. You shared laughs, memories, and experiences with them, and walking away can feel like betraying your past. But here's the truth: you're not betraying your past, you're honoring your future. Rebuilding after letting go requires courage. At first, you might feel lonely. That empty space in your circle can feel uncomfortable, almost like silence pressing against you. But that silence is not a punishment, it's a gift. It's space for the right people to enter. Fake friends crowd your life so much that genuine souls don't have room to step in. When you release the wrong ones, you create room for the right ones. At the heart of all this is one truth: growth and approval rarely go together. If you live your life chasing approval, you'll stay stuck, shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. But if you choose growth, you'll outgrow people, face resistance, and lose fake friends along the way. And that's not a curse, it's a blessing. Because the people who leave when you rise were never meant to stay. Fake friends thrive on your stagnation. They want you to stay at their level because it makes them feel safe. The moment you start rising, they panic because your growth reminds them of their excuses. That's why they flinch, go silent, or compete. But here's what you need to remember. You don't exist to make others comfortable. You exist to expand, to evolve, to become the fullest version of yourself. History is full of people who chose growth over approval. Think about innovators, leaders, and visionaries. They all faced resistance. People mocked them, doubted them, and even turned against them. But they kept growing. And in the end, it was worth it. Why? Because approval fades, but growth builds legacy. Psychologically, choosing growth strengthens your sense of self. You no longer measure your worth by how others react. You measure it by your progress, your alignment, and your inner peace. That's when freedom begins, when you realize you don't need permission to shine. Real friends will cheer for you, fake friends will panic, and the universe will reward your courage. So let me leave you with this. Are you willing to lose fake friends in order to gain your true self? Will you choose the comfort of approval or the freedom of growth? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this video stirred something in your soul, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Mirror of the Soul with someone who needs this message. Because the world doesn't need smaller versions of us. It needs us to rise unapologetically.